One day in a smoky London studio, Black Sabbath searched for a song to change the world forever. Guitarist Tony Iommi fumbled around on his guitar until suddenly he stumbled on a chilling interval. The dissonant strike of these diabolical tones summoned a bleak darkness from the void. Intrigued by its eerie sound, he crafted a riff that resonated with raw intensity. Joined by Ozzy's haunting vocals and the powerful rhythm section, the band created Black Sabbath. Little did they know they had just invented the genre of heavy metal. In this video, I'll show you a metal song for every interval of the chromatic scale. This helps our ears remember the sound through a reference point. In part 2, I'll be showing you how to record in my DAW using drums, bass, and guitars. And finally, test your music theory knowledge with my interval quiz. Get all of my tabs, courses, and Discord access on Patreon below. Let's not make 2025 another dumpster fire where you just spin your wheels and go nowhere. Now let's enter the magical world of Guitar Pro, and here we are, modern guitar mastery. We're going to be looking at intervals today, and we'll be comparing each one to a famous metal song. You'll see how these bands actually utilize theory in their music. So we're going to begin with a highly tense interval, and we're going to start on C here and build every... Excuse me, I'm sick today because of the fires in LA. I've redubbed Los Angeles Fireland because everything's burning down and it's even affecting my voice. So there we have a very appropriate interval for Fireland because that's kind of how it feels here. The dissonant clash of that minor second. It's just 1/2 step. So this we abbreviate as lowercase m2, and we'll just say half step. And the interval that you will hear this in as a popular metal song is Metallica's Wherever I May Roam. You can see it right here in the tab. We've got this E to F pitch happening. So in the song, right there, that's the interval, the minor second. So dissonance is the name of the game here, and tension. Now let's proceed through the chromatic intervals here. I'm going to get my drone back on. And the second interval in the chromatic scale is a major second. Now this one has a more like ambiguous kind of tonality. It's uncertainty. It's really about uncertainty here. So we have a whole step from C to D, and this one is uppercase M2, and this one you get 2 half steps. A good song to think about for this interval is Judas Priest's Breaking the Law. Now, Judas Priest is a great band from the UK. We're actually going to be doing more with them later in the video. I'm going to be recording a section from this track, but you can see the very first interval here in the sequence is a major second. So when you go from A up to B, that is a major second, right? So this really helps us remember a sound because we have something relevant to associate it with. So let's get our drone back on. I always have the drone going because it creates the C word, and by the C word I mean context. You need a reference point to measure these intervals from to remember them. Okay, so now we're going to go to a minor third interval, which is like that. So we flat that. I just flatted a major third there. But this one obviously has a very sad sound, right? It's a very important aspect of the minor triad. So this one is lowercase m3, it's the abbreviation, and it's 3/2 steps. And the song that you can use to associate this interval with is Black Sabbath's Iron Man. So Iron Man here, as we can see, you know, you've got power chords, but I'm measuring the lower note there. We could just remove the higher notes and then it's more clear. So you have just a B to D note there. Whoops. Right, so that first part, that's the minor third. So if you can remember that sound, then you're going to have a good way of remembering the minor third interval. Okay, moving on. We're going to get to the major third. And this forms the foundation of all major triads, from C to E on the guitar. And this one's going to be uppercase M3, and we've got 4/2 steps here. And the song for this one, believe it or not, is Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast. Just what I saw in my old dreams. It's funny, you wouldn't think a song like Number of the Beast would be in a major key, but it is. And you can see it right here. There's that major third interval from D to F sharp. So it's at the very beginning of the riff there. So believe it or not, this track has a major tonality to it, even though it's about a dark subject matter. All right, let's get to the next interval here, which is a perfect fourth. And that's going to be from C to F, the F word. And let's see, this one's going to be P4, standing for perfect fourth, and we've got 5/2 steps. Okay. Now, let's see, the song for this one, actually we could go back to Iron Maiden again, and Fear of the Dark. Now, I love this melody that Iron Maiden plays here from A to D. The first two notes, that's the perfect fourth. So it starts off, right? And it's just right there. That's the perfect fourth. Beautiful example of the interval. Okay, we're moving on to the tritone, which is going to be the most evil interval of all. And I should mention that perfect fourth, you know, is about stability, really. That's the sound. It's like a strong foundation. But that is not the case with the tritone. The tritone has just an absolutely evil, diabolical tone to it. And the funny thing is that it's 6/2 steps. So that number, you know, you play 3 times and you get the number of the beast. It's interesting how that works out. So here we have the tritone, or you could call it the augmented fourth, and this is 6/2 steps. So really cool sound here. And you'll hear this interval in Black Sabbath's Black Sabbath. The tritone in Black Sabbath, it happens between the second and third note. So you have that octave, and it's right there. So those two intervals form the most dissonant and diabolical sound in all of music. All right, let's move on to the perfect fifth. And the perfect fifth is a great sound. Again, it has that unifying quality. It brings the triad together. And this one is P5, abbreviated, and it is 7/2 steps. And the song you can use to remember this one is actually not a metal song. It's Star Wars by John Williams, the famous film composer. Now here is the perfect fifth in Star Wars. It's the first two notes from this B flat to F. Just a beautiful, strong way to begin a melody. If you're ever struggling with a melody in one of your songs, try using the perfect fifth interval. Okay, let's move on to the next interval here. And that's going to be, whoops, let's get the C there. And we're going to flat that. And we have a minor sixth interval. I love this one. Just a melancholic sound here. It's just full of rich emotion. And we have the M6, and this is going to be 8 half steps. And the song you can use to remember this one is Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train. So here's Crazy Train, and the actual minor sixth interval happens between the second and third notes. Right there. Actually, sorry, that's the fifth. Six is right there. So it happens between 1, 2, 3, 4, and fifth notes. And I've got it labeled right up here with the M6. So that interval is just great. And it works really good with the power chord there. Okay. We're getting right through these. Next, we're going to go to the major sixth. And the major sixth is, it's a very consonant interval. So it has an uplifting sort of quality. There's some happiness there. This one is uppercase M6, and we've got 9 half steps. And, you know, the song for this one, you could use like Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror. That's hard. Let me turn the drone off there so that makes a little bit more sense. We need a G drone to make that one sound right. Now moving on through our interval journey, we've got I think we're at the minor seventh here at this point. And, whoops, the minor seventh is an incredible sound. What we have is this C to B flat sound, and so that is lowercase m7. This is the interval of introspection and wisdom. Let's see, how many half steps is this one? It's 10 half steps. So a lot of half steps. I don't know if that helps you guys think in terms of half steps. I actually don't think in terms of steps. I think in terms of scale degrees. So whatever helps you there. But the song you can associate this one with is Alice in Chains' Man in a Box. So here's Man in the Box. And I love how this one works out. So it's just the open low E to that 5th fret. Really cool sound. You could make like a wonderful theme based on that interval. Okay, so we're almost through the intervals. Right now we are up to the major 7th. And this one is going to be 11 half steps. And the song is Take On Me by Aha. And the interval in that chorus there is the first 2 notes, so it works out great. From A to G sharp, and then it resolves nicely up to the octave. So it's a perfect example. Now, there's just one interval left in the chromatic scale, and we've come full circle at this point. This interval represents completion and finality, and here we are at the octave. So you can just call it an octave, and this is going to be 12 half steps. So we've come all the way full circle. And the song for this one is Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song. So here's Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song, and you can see that octave interval happening right there, from the F sharp to the higher F sharp. So if you can remember these songs, you can hum those back to yourself and get these pitches programmed into your DNA. Now in this next section, we're going to be recording in our DAW. I'm going to show you a finger tapping lick over Judas Priest's Breaking the Law, and we're going to be learning how to program basic tracks, drums, bass, and also recording guitars. We'll go over things like double tracking, maybe even how to do like some octave stuff, and possibly even harmonizing. To begin, I just want to set the tone here with the Judas Priest track. I want to show you guys a little lick you can play over this progression, and then we'll actually break down the progression itself. So I'm thinking we'll do like a little lick here, which is fun because it's going to follow the chords. So if you take a little tapping exercise, right, that'd be for the A minor, and then we're going to do an F like that, and then it goes to G. And the trick, again, here is to follow the chords. So if we play the track, let's see if we can do this. Okay, that's the idea. So it's actually not a fast lick at all. I wanted this to be something that wouldn't be too challenging, but it's, you know, a really cool system that you can use to outline arpeggios. Let's actually break that down and see what's happening on a closer level. Okay, so here we are in Guitar Pro, and this lick, which I'm very fond of, it just has a wonderful, wonderful sound. And what you're going to do is tap that note once you get through this arpeggio, and that's really our basic template here. Let me zoom in here. Come on, Guitar Pro. There we go. And you're going right up the scale here. You got this A, B, C, and then you tap the E. Okay? Now, we're just going to do that in octaves. So we jump up here to the next A, B, C, tap the 14th fret, which is an E, and then we do the same thing, yet another octave up, which is on the high E string there. And then I think we just come back down to this tapped 14th fret to finish it off. So actually what we're missing here, I see now, is to descend a little bit of this arpeggio. Then we put that 14th fret in there. And this completes 2 bars of an A minor sound. So I'm going to break down the chords behind this in a minute. We call it lead guitar, but actually it's follow guitar because you're following the chords. That's a very important thing to remember. Okay, from there, we're going to go to this F major sound, but we're going to use the same sequence is the thing. So Guitar Pro is acting retarded because I got 19 programs open right now and it's saying help, help, it's too much going on. So then we're going to go up to G string. We'll go 10, 12, and then we're going to do 14. Yep. And then what we're going to do is tap on the 5th, which is going to be the 17th fret. Okay, good. Beautiful, beautiful sound of this arpeggio. If you ever heard Final Fantasy's opening theme, it's called the Crystal theme, the video game, then you'd be familiar with this sort of sound. The last thing we're going to do is play a G major arpeggio, if Guitar Pro will allow it. And we're going to tap on the 17th fret there. Beautiful. And then what we're going to do, head all the way up to 12th fret, 14, 15, and then we're going to tap on the, let's see, 17, 19, 21st, yeah. Way up there. Wait a minute. 15, 17, 19. Sorry, 19th fret. We're getting really high up on the board. Okay, and that's our G sound. So I'm going to put in G here. Now, to get a bird's eye view of what's happening, it's really simple harmonically, and it's easy to get kind of confused when you're working with technique. But always be thinking about the simplicity of the harmonic structure when you are playing a fancy lick like this. So we're going to do, we'll do that A power chord, which is basically an A minor. We'll just call that A minor. And then what you do is come down to your F and then G. So what we're actually playing over is simple. And it's important to understand that basic context underneath, the flashiness there. Just a basic progression. Now here we are in Logic Pro, and I want to show you how to record that Judas Priest song, essentially. We're just going to do the riff, and the number one thing you always tackle is the basic track. So that means drums first. Drums are the compass of the band, and I'm using Easy Drummer as a plugin here. So step one is to create a sequence object. And we're just going to plug that in there. And I'm not sure how many bars we need. A couple, probably 8 bars there. So what we're going to do is begin with hi-hat counting. And whoops, A sharp is what I'm looking for. I'm going to use 90 for the velocity there. And don't worry if you don't get all this. This is just to give you an idea of the general workflow of recording. So we've got our count in. I think actually we might just continue that over. If I expand out there, we can see. And the basic drum idea for this song is just kind of like that boom, ga, boom, ga, boom, ga, boom, ga. It's kind of like a punk drum beat, if I'm not mistaken. So what we're going to do is add a kick for that first one, and I'm going to juice that up to 115 velocity. I'm going to show you a velocity trick in a second too to make your drum sound more human. And then we're going to snare. Okay. So boom ga, boom boom ga. That means we've got basically 2 kicks on this next section, and I'm kind of varying the kick note here just to give it a more human sense. It's those variations and fluctuations that make us sound more human. So I'm going to take that down to a D. So let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Right. Maybe we'll hit a cymbal here. Let's do like a G cymbal. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that's more or less the drill. And then I'm going to humanize this with a function here called humanize. And what that does is basically just varies the velocity layer. So that one's 121, that's 115, 106. Makes it sound more natural. All right, let's copy and paste that over. And I'm going to get rid of the cymbal crash there. What else? That'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I think that's boom, 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 boom. Yeah, okay, good. Now that's your drums. Quick and dirty version of the drums. We could do a better job on that, but we're just trying to get the main idea. The next aspect of basic tracks is bass, believe it or not. So here we go with a bass sequence object. For bass, I'm using Moto Bass as a plugin. Of course, the Rickenbacker model, which has that stanky spank sort of sound, which I love. And let's choose bass clef here. I know reading music is scary. You can also use the piano roll window here, which would be this. If you double click, you know, then you can put in notes here like that. That's not a bad way to go. For me, I prefer looking at the score because I can visualize the arrangement. Now, the bass line here, I think is just like a bunch of eighth notes. So I'm going to pump up the volume, 115. And what we're going to do is basically just get a series of eighth notes happening. And I think the drill here is going to be like 2 bars of that. Yeah, and then it's going to be like F to follow the progression, right? Because that progression is just A minor, F to G. And then, man, I want to say it goes up to G on that last eighth note. Okay, let's see if this makes any sense. Something like that. I feel like we need some more crashes in the drums though, huh? Right here on this bar. Even another one. Yeah. Why not? Let's go that. Okay, good. Now, there's just one last thing we have to do, and that's record guitars. And of course, that's the best part, because guitar is the greatest instrument. And I'm going to come down here to my guitar tracks, and we'll start with one down the middle. Sure, why not? And I'm here in my Helix editor, and I'm thinking about the kind of tone we want. Probably don't want delay, and probably don't want reverb. And let's tighten up the gate. It's pretty tight, maybe even a little tighter. Yeah, okay, that's about right. Okay, now let's lay down that main part, right? What is that main part? Yeah, okay, so it's just that. Let's give it a spin. Okay, now here's the trick with recording guitars. To get that big metal sound, you got to double track. And actually, we're even going triple track today. It's going to get crazy. So the next track is panned all the way hard left. You can see the panning there. And don't copy and paste, because that doesn't work. You got to record unique performances. So here we go on the second one. Oh, you know what? Man, maybe what we should do actually for this part, is actually double track in octaves. Because that's really what the sound is. Huh. Well, we could do just 1 up and 2 down. So let me do another one down here, and then we'll go up. Right, and then this next one I'll do, I'm going to go up an octave, and let's see if that gets us the sound. Almost, maybe, you know, that octave one should be in the center. Let's see how this sounds here. Ready? Yeah. Okay, that's the basic idea, right? And I know I mentioned harmonizing real quick. Something that would be fun to do just for the hell of it is adding a harmonized part in here. Let's just do that and see what it sounds like. What would that be? Probably something like that, right? Let's try it. Yeah, so that's kind of fun. At this point, we have just like this rich guitar orchestra, but these are all variables you can play with in your own music. There's one last thing I want to cover in today's lesson, and that is how to train your interval knowledge. So we're going to be going to a website called musictheory.net, and we'll look at a visual way you can test yourself, and then also an aural way to test your knowledge. So check this out, right? Here we are at musictheory.net, and go to interval identification. And once you get here, make sure you have the settings customized so that you don't get too many ledger lines, you don't have the range, excuse me, reasonable there. And then you can reset your score and stuff here if you want as well. So we'll reset, and the first interval here, you've got, that lower space up to the middle line. So that's an F to B. Now, if I play that on guitar, it's good to have your guitar out so you can test these. So that's the sound we're dealing with, which is, that's that evil sound. So A4 or augmented fourth. Yeah. Then it has a G to a B. So what is a G to a B? Well, that is a major third. Now let's do one more. G is a lower note up to an E. So that interval right there is really important. If you're into soloing and lead playing, it's a very common way to play solos across the fretboard. Very musical. So that G to E, that's a major sixth. Now, the other thing you can do for training intervals is the ear training aspect. So if you scroll down to ear training, go to interval ear training here. Again, you can customize settings, 13 intervals. What the hell? Okay, I guess that's right. And you can get your score reset. And let's see what the first interval is here. Bum, 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 bum. Sounds like a perfect fourth. Bum, 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 bum. That Maiden song, right? So let's plug that in. Bum, bum, bum. So that one there, you can keep playing it by clicking on the sound file. That sounds like the bum, 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 ah. It's hard for me to get up that high, but that's the Star Wars interval, right? So you click in the perfect fifth. Now that one, bum, 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 right? That's the Crazy Train one. So that has to be a minor sixth, right? Okay, so that's how you can train your intervals, both in the visual and the aural sense. If you're in my Modern Guitar Mastery course, here is your homework to be posted in the Discord chat. Number one, I want a 30-second original piece using intervals. So choose like, the minor seventh or the perfect fifth, or something to really target to make your main theme and build a song around that. And I'd love to have you do a playthrough video where you film yourself on video. That gets you so much more experience because you've got to emote when you're playing in front of the camera, and it really makes you level up your musicianship. The second aspect of your homework will be to screenshot 50 reps of the visual and aural quiz. So that's 100 reps total. Split it between the visual and the aural and post that in the Discord chat. Until next time, shred till you're dead. And I'll probably be dead soon because of these fires.